Okay, so today's story is a bit of a fun one. So some of you may remember a man going by the name Lance McDonald down here. This is his YouTube channel. He's also got a Twitter. In a previous video from last year, I talked about this individual who hacked PT and actually managed to explore the town scene at the end of PT where you see Norman Reedus walk out. That cutscene, turns out it's rendered in real time. It's not pre-rendered. And there's a whole town there that's really fleshed out, at least enough for that cutscene. And as you can see right here, the guy found a way to just, like, explore that, and people got to see what could have been. Just this alone looks super creepy, like there was a lot of potential, and so this was both really cool to see and also really sad, given what happened to the Silent Hills project. And then beyond that, this individual managed to discover that it is indeed Norman Reedus who you're playing as in PT. Because the game happens in first person, you don't really know for sure, but he managed to, like, manipulate the camera in such a way that you can see Norman's reflection in the game itself, which is something that players cannot do traditionally. So that's another cool element. And then last but not least, here's a clip of him showing that Lisa is always right behind you throughout PT. All the weird noises that you hear, like this croaking voice or something, or weird shadows that you see, turns out that's Lisa, who is always behind you and stalking you. And it's just like cool little bits of trivia, I suppose. And you can see right here, the guy managed to manipulate the camera so that it stays still while the player moves, and this is Lisa following the player. And when you turn around, she kind of, you know, she always stays behind you, so you just never know that. And it's just like little things like that you wouldn't have known without Lance just delving deep into these games, really deep. Something similar has happened with God of War, another PlayStation 4 title. I don't know how he does it. I'm not going to ask questions, but it's cool to see little bits of Easter eggs, if you can call what this is that, here in God of War. So in this hack right here, Lance managed to take the camera of God of War and hack it so that he can just pull it out and manipulate it in any way he wants during cutscenes, which is really interesting. So that allows for stuff like this, where during the scene where Baldur is visiting Kratos and doing that, if you played God of War, you'll remember this scene. And yeah, you can see the cutscene play out with a manipulable camera, which makes it less cinematic, but still kind of a cool little bit of a hack. And you can keep skipping through here, and whoa, I've actually never seen this part. All right, he like punches him right there and sends him flying. Or Baldur does, rather, yeah. Holy crap, this actually looks, it's actually really interesting. I only played like the first 5 seconds before I recorded this video, but I've never seen the full thing. And there's the gameplay, and anyway, you get the idea. Now, on top of, you know, just this being a cool little bit of hack that kind of gives you a different perspective on the game, Lance also managed to discover an Easter egg, if you can call it that. So he tweeted right here, so Cory Barlog, who was responsible for this little Easter egg, and if you click on the image, you'll find that Baldur is flipping you off as he's falling off a cliff. This is after the very first Baldur boss battle. Yeah, nobody knew about this until Lance managed to manipulate the camera in this cutscene, and you can actually see how he found out about this in this clip, where he shows the full scene in action and him just zooming the camera out as Kratos throws Baldur off the cliff. And so as he falls down, you'll see that, yeah, Baldur's character model clips through some stuff, and the reason that happens is, of course, that during cutscenes, game developers don't have to recreate every aspect depending on where the camera is, and in that moment, the camera stays on Kratos, and so when Baldur falls off, they don't have to, like, you know, render the physics of him, like, stumbling down. This is a part of the game that the players would normally never see, but Lance, having hacked the game, managed to discover that this is what Baldur's character model looks like during that cutscene. And, yeah, he just kind of stays stuck there. and he's just gives 0 fucks. And it's just saying, fuck you, fuck everything, with the 2 middle fingers. So yeah, that's the whole clip. And then you can see eventually the character model disappears. So yeah, that's some of the tricks that you see, or that you don't see rather, during gameplay or when a cutscene's playing out. There's just a lot of tricks that are being done when the camera's facing the other way. And so this is what they did for this particular cutscene to make it work. And I'm wondering, is this something Cory Barlog even knew about, or is this something that the animators just kind of did for the fun of things? Just thinking that nobody would discover this, nobody would hack the game to a level of being able to manipulate the camera. I'm wondering if this was intended to be an inside joke that ended up being uncovered by an unprecedented hack here, or if this was something that they actually hoped players would find one day. That seems unlikely to me, given how much out of your way you have to go to find this. Like, an Easter egg is usually something a player will be able to find by playing the game normally. This is in normal circumstances. Cory Barlog, he hasn't really responded to who's responsible for this Easter egg, but to him being able to manipulate the camera, he did say, "Nice work, Lance." And that's about it. Or actually, this is an interesting suggestion. Preemptive strike against hackers finding content they're not meant to see. So maybe the animators figured, in case somebody hacks the camera and manages to find this Easter egg, here's a message for them. Fuck you, but in a playful way. I don't know what the reasoning behind this stuff is. It's probably just animators screwing around. But yeah, I'm wondering what other things Lance will discover as he makes his way through God of War's various cutscenes and hacks his way through, manipulates the camera, and sees things that nobody else was meant to see. Anyway, that's it for this story. I do want to move on to talk about what happened recently with the former head of Santa Monica Studios, the studio behind God of War, moving on to Stadia to create games for their new Playa Vista studio. Stadia announced right here, quote, "Today we're adding a new Stadia Games and Entertainment studio in Playa Vista, California, which will be led by an industry veteran, Shannon Studstill." Shannon being the former head of the Santa Monica studio before she became studio director at Stadia Games and Entertainment. And people are wondering, what's going on here? Is there going to be adverse effects for Santa Monica, given that, she had such a big influence on the studio? Well, it's all good, because Shannon Studstill, after she moved on to Stadia, her position was taken over by none other than Yumi Yang, who is a 19-year veteran at PlayStation with an extensive background in product development and heavy involvement across many of Santa Monica Studios' biggest games. Yumi Yang is a well-known figure in the games industry, and she's beloved, and she's done a lot of work for Santa Monica, and she'll do a perfectly fine job of spearheading the studio. And Cory Barlog, I'm sure, is still, the creative director of the next God of War, which, is in development. It hasn't been said officially, but that would be hardly surprising if that were the case. The studio's still in good hands. There isn't some upending of the table that went on here at Santa Monica. It just seems to be someone who wanted to try something new at Stadia and see if she can pull some magic and make a game that will attract people to the Stadia platform. And, I wish her well. I certainly hope her endeavors succeed. But I personally am more curious to see what Santa Monica has in store with God of War 2. And here is the statement that Santa Monica Studios issued on that front. "We extend our warmest congratulations to Shannon Studstill on her new role. Under her leadership, the studio she helped found over 20 years ago masterfully reinvented itself and its greatest franchise with 2018's Game of the Year, God of War." So yeah, she was one of the founding members, essentially. So it is kind of a big deal that she's finally moving on, but the studio has developed and grown to a point where, there are people who can take her place and do right by what she set up here. In her role as VP of Product Development, Shannon helped smaller independent teams incubate within the studio, leading to groundbreaking works like Journey and The Unfinished Swan. All of PlayStation is better for and grateful of her many years of exemplary service and bold creative vision. So she didn't have just influence in Santa Monica, but also the PlayStation brand and the PlayStation team as a whole, which is cool. Taking over as studio head is Yumi Yang, a 19-year PlayStation veteran with an extensive background in product development and heavy involvement across many of Santa Monica Studios' biggest games. Her project management prowess and meticulous oversight of 2018's God of War helped the title fully realize its groundbreaking potential. After nearly 2 decades and countless substantial contributions to Santa Monica Studios' rich legacy, Yumi has the unquestioned respect and trust of her peers. With her vast experience and deep understanding of the studio's distinct creative DNA, she is perfectly positioned to lead Santa Monica Studio to a bold and exciting future. So all is well with the world here at Santa Monica. Santa Monica is definitely, among my favorite studios right now. I love the level of creative freedom that they have. The documentary of God of War really shined a light on the kinds of both creative prowess and also struggles that go on behind the scenes, and the kinds of games that they make I absolutely love. I love Cory Barlog's integrity of, not implementing microtransactions in a game where that stuff doesn't belong, and he's actually spoken out about microtransactions directly. Or, when EA said that single-player games are dying out, and Cory Barlog said, "Oh, no, EA," on Twitter. And then he went on to prove them wrong by selling, 10 million copies plus with God of War. So I'm glad to see that the studio is still thriving, that they have veterans like Yumi Yang to lead the studio forward, and I'm really highly anticipating their next endeavor with God of War 2. And so, yeah, I wish Yumi Yang and Shannon the best with all their future endeavors. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the Easter egg and Santa Monica Studios' new leadership. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.